I'm Geoffrey again Asalu. I'm at the Department of Family and Community Health, School of Public Health, University of Health and Allied Sciences. I'm happy to share some aspect of my PhD work with you, which was on food labeling, entitled Low Level of Food Label Literacy Among Households in Accra. This is my presentation outline. I'll just give you a brief introduction to the study, give a brief description of the methods, share the main findings, and conclude with the implications. The burden of diet and diet-related non-communicable is increasing worldwide, especially in low to middle income countries. And also dietary patterns are shifting towards highly processed foods that are high in fat, sugar, and salt. So one of the World Health Organization strategies is that individuals limit high fat, sugar, and salt intake. And food label is an important public health tool to aid consumers to choose healthy foods. In Ghana, not much is known on whether the consumer possesses the skill and the knowledge to make healthy food choice. And this is what I term food label literacy. So the objective of this study was to examine the food label literacy among urban dwelling consumers. So a household cross-sectional study was employed in this study. 510 participants were selected through a multi-stage random sampling. In fact, the sample reflected the socioeconomic strata of a status of Accra, where we actually sampled from communities of high socioeconomic status to low socioeconomic status. A structured questionnaire was used to elicit information on the demographic factors and other background information. And for food label, and also a food labeling task was employed in this study, where dummy labels were presented to the participants and questions for whether they could actually use them. And these are dummy labels of popularly consumed prepackaged foods. So main outcome measures. The independent variable was actually food label literacy, and that is an individual is able to correctly perform the labeling task on nutrition fat panel, including labeling size, health and nutrition claims, and the list, ingredient list of food labels. So the main findings, for the social household and the social demographic characteristics of the participants, more of the participants were younger and middle-aged adults, as you could see, 34% and 28%. But most of the respondents were female. This reflected the fact that the inclusion criteria were those who were involved in purchase decision and also involved in decisions for diets at the household. Most 43.9% of the household were considered poor and 40% were considered wealthy. Only 4.3% of the population had reported one form of food allergy or the other, and 56.7% of the respondents had a BMI of overweight, and they were overweight and obese. So the respondents' usage and perceptions of food labels. Approximately one third of the respondents were deemed to be food label users. That means they said they use it always and sometimes, and others said they never used them or barely use them. So, but most of the participants also had a high perception of food labels. As you could see, most of them responded that, when they see a statement like diet low in sodium may reduce the risk of high blood on food, they actually said they believe that statement. They also said the information of ingredients and nutrient composition values are accurate. Measuring the food literacy rate of the respondents. First, before they were put to a food labeling task, they subjectively answered the question whether they were food label literate, and 62% of the respondents self-report that they think they were food label literate. And when they were put to a test, only 9.4% were deemed to be food label literate. And what were the aspects of the food label literacy assessment? And these are aspects of the label that can help consumers to choose healthy foods. The nutrition table, health and nutrition claim, and ingredient list. But it seems that their worst performance were at places where require their numeracy skills. So, for example, to be able to identify whether a food was less fatty, and which you have to look at the values, most of the respondents could not correctly do that. And also, interpretation of the ingredient list. It seems that they have no clue about how to interpret ingredient lists as well. So for logistic regression to be able to identify those who had an inadequate food label literacy or those who had adequate food label, it shows that education, previous education, the use of labels predicted those who have adequate food label literacy, and also previous knowledge on previous nutrition knowledge. And also, interestingly, those that were underweight were, compared to normal weight, were also found to be people that were food literate. But what are the implications of this? So, generally, as from this result, we could see that they had a high perception of labels, but the food label literacy rate and use behavior was very low. This suggests that the Ghanaian consumer is susceptible to being misled or misuse label information. And also, there is a need for enhanced communication because of this low literacy level of labels. When I mean enhanced communication is that our curriculum, there should be the food label use knowledge should be taught. Our health promotion activities, it seems that this food label use are low in such efforts. And as with other research the literature has shown that a lot of people have difficulty, especially because of the numeracy skills, to be able to use labels. And the world is calling for front of pack nutrition label. And I think from the results, this cross-sectional study has shown that Ghana is also supposed to look at the front of pack nutrition label. And that's why I was interested in asking a lot of questions with the previous presenters. But we still need to understand the Ghanaian consumer. We still need further research to see what kind of front of pack labeling that will be preferable. In another part of my study was to do an assessment of the types of labels on our market, and a lot of front of pack already in. We want to see how those kind of things are affecting our consumers.
Right.
And
your time is up.
Yes, so thank you very much. I will just acknowledge my supervisors, Professor Mosla and Prof. Richmond.
Excellent.